So I was in London late last week. I came back to Gibraltar for the weekend period and then travelled once again to London for ministerial meetings. I met Robin Walker of DexU and Sir Alan Duncan on Friday, and on Tuesday I met the de facto Deputy Prime Minister David Lidington, and of course had a lot of contact with technicians, with officials in the Foreign Office and other departments in the United Kingdom, as we prepare for the contact that the United Kingdom is having now across 27 other capitals. And in respect of some of those capitals, a lot of what is discussed will also be relevant to Gibraltar, and some things will be specific to Gibraltar. And of course, one capital in particular will have an interest in Gibraltar, and a slightly unhealthy interest in Gibraltar in this process. And we have to ensure that we're prepared in the context of what is happening in Brussels and in London to ensure that Gibraltar's interests are fully taken into consideration in the process of the negotiation.
Towards the end of last week, we've heard the new European Union guidelines for negotiations for phase 2 of the discussions, and there's been no mention of the exclusion of Gibraltar from transitional agreements, which we know that Spain was gunning for at the last set of talks. What does that mean for us?
This is a negotiation that's ongoing, and you're seeing both sides taking positions, or indeed not taking positions, in respect of where they want to be by the time that the negotiations are concluded in the context of Gibraltar. We've seen how Spain has lobbied for the inclusion on the shopping list of items that the Commission will present to the United Kingdom, that Mr. Barnier will present to Mr. Davis, in effect, the exclusion of Gibraltar unless we go through the hoop of a bilateral agreement between the United Kingdom and Spain. That is not expressly stated in the context of the guidelines issued yesterday. Last week we saw some other guidelines where paragraph 5 of which referred to clause 24. This is a vexed presentation of something that is very complicated for the Commission itself, because at the same time as it's saying to the United Kingdom, in the transitional period, nothing will change, in effect, Spain is cutting across that position of the other 26 and the institutions by saying, but the territorial scope and ambit of the treaties will change. And so I think it's becoming an increasingly difficult position for the Commission to reconcile with its main objective in the interest of citizens who are already in the United Kingdom and are of another EU member state, or indeed those who will come in the period of transition, to reconcile the no change with the Spanish attempt to change the position is very complex, and therefore I think all of this complexity is now starting to be understood.
And following on from the UK suggesting that it might be considering leaving the customs union, what does that mean for Gibraltar? I know that Gibraltar is not in the customs union, but there are some considerations such as, for example, the VAT differential. How does it affect us?
Well, there might be little effect, but not no effect. So, for example, today our goods come to supermarkets in Gibraltar from the United Kingdom. Those goods are already in the Common Customs Union. They cross the frontier once. They cross the customs frontier of the European Union when they come through the international frontier from Spain to Gibraltar. If we're going to get goods from the United Kingdom to Gibraltar in the future, and the United Kingdom is not going to be in the Common Customs Union, those goods might have to cross a frontier more than once. They cross the frontier into the European Union if they come by lorry, and then from the European Union to Gibraltar, and they would have to be in effect in bond in that period. So it could mean a change of mechanism on something that affects the way that we deal with something as mundane as our shopping. The United Kingdom has always been an advocate of avoiding tax harmonization or rules at a supranational level that affect your ability to fix taxation at a particular rate, although they accept that there should be a minimum rate of taxation which is considered a real rate of taxation, which is the OECD model. All of these things are now in the mix. This is devilishly difficult, and of course the danger is in the detail, as is the opportunity in the future for Gibraltar.